Built back in the late 1800s, the Hurricane Canal was the lifeblood of the Hurricane Valley for nearly 80 years. Early settlers were noted for growing peaches and other fruit that can still be found growing in the fertile valley soil today. However, the days of agriculture are slowly being replaced by a growing population and need for more homes.
The city has always felt like that as the agricultural kind of went out of the area and the residences came in as subdivisions, that we would go in and service that area with pressurized irrigation.
But the cost to maintain and provide a constant flow of water to the area is going up. The Canal Company is looking to the city to take over an area which is becoming more populated and has less agricultural use.
At this point, there's a proposal to extend that irrigation system from the basically 400 south in Hurricane clear out to 1500 south, and it's a large area. There's still a lot of acreage out there that is farmed agricultural, from anywhere from 1 acre to 20 acres in that particular area.
Fawcett said there are about 637 homes in the proposed area that could be affected by the changes. It's not yet known whether the system changes could be voluntary or mandatory, but the more people that sign on, the cheaper it would become.
Well, we're looking at a $3,000 upfront connection fee for properties anywhere from, on a home anywhere from like a quarter acre up to 1 acre. For larger acres, for acres at like an acre and a half to 3, I think it is, we've got a $4,000, which would give you a little bigger size hookup, and then $5,000 for everything and above.
But in order to do so, Fawcett said they would need all the homes in the area to sign on in order to even break even on the new system. He also estimates it will cost the city about $5,000 a share to purchase the needed water rights at market value. The city of Hurricane currently owns about 280 some shares of water, but would need about 300 more shares in order to make the system work properly.
Is it going to work financially, and at the prices we're going to charge, does it work financially for the citizens, and is it a good thing for us to proceed with?
At an estimated cost of around $10.3 million to build the new pressurized system, half of the money would have to come from bonds at a hopeful rate of around 1% for 30 years. If approved, a $4.2 million grant would come from the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS. The rest of the money would come from connection fees from potential water users. Many canal water users still flood irrigate their land and continue to grow peaches, corn, hay, and other crops.
And you have pluses and minuses. The sprinkling, you don't have to get up for the night turns, and it's not as likely to flood your neighbors, and it's more efficient use of the water. Flood irrigation is more comfortable with people. They don't like the change as much, and some of them feel like that the irrigating through sprinkling is not as good for them.
Fawcett said they are exploring the idea of providing 2 separate systems, one for agriculture and one for homeowners. The concept behind it is to save water and remove flood irrigation runoff onto other residences. While the irrigation water is cheaper than watering with culinary drinking water, it's still a question of how much water landowners will use. But Fawcett said a pressurized system does tend to use less water.
But then it's also $16.50 a month for those on those 1 acre lots or less. For the other users, it's kind of determined on, they get a $16.50 minimum, and they get an annual charge, which is about $100 annually. It'll probably be about a third more than what they're paying in assessments to the Canal Company.
While all of the irrigation water comes from the Virgin River, it is considered as hard water and has some silt due to runoff. That is why the city uses a silting pond like this one, where the water sits and filters out the silt before it is sent into the pressurized system. Fawcett said under the proposal they plan to build 2 more sets of similar holding ponds so that when one is being used, the other is filtering out. Since water is a scarce resource, especially here in the desert, the city is receiving approval of this plan by the Washington County Water Conservancy District. It will now be up to the water stockholders to decide if they want to sell their shares. And the concept by the state is you either use it or lose it.
So a lot of them would like to be able to keep that share. The problem is if you don't have the property to put the water on, then it's not being used, and at that point it could be taken back by the state if they don't use it. So you've got to be able to place it on some property to use it on.
Fawcett said even if the vote goes through and the city receives the grant, they can still decide to turn it down, as the grant wouldn't be awarded until next June.
So if the Canal stockholders vote no, then we're done, at least at this point. If they vote yes, then we will proceed and try to see what the rest of the public out there feels like that's going to be affected by it. And those homeowners do some public hearings, try to gather the information while we're applying for the grant.
In Hurricane, Melissa Anderson, CEC News.